Ayato Kawajiri stop the psychopathic killer Kira Yoshikage, or is he destined to be trapped in an endless explosive time loop? Find out in my review of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Diamond is Unbreakable. It is official, ladies and gentlemen, Kira Yoshikage has hijacked the intro of this week's episode of Diamond is Unbreakable. Without a doubt, I think one of the most surprising elements of this week's episode. Very reminiscent of Stardust Crusaders, where in the last couple of episodes, we were treated to Dio giving us his presence in the intro and basically hijacking all of it. We get to see that return in this episode right here, and frankly, it was just plain disturbing. A lot of that having to do with the fact that the final opening of Diamond is Unbreakable is a very happy, uplifting song, and to see it taken over by someone as insane as Kira Yoshikage honestly adds a lot of darkness to the intro. But I really loved it. I especially love the fact that he was basically reversing it from beginning to end, getting to see the song play out differently, as well as getting to see some of the intro changed around a little bit with its imagery, like with the brand new look of Kira, who is incredibly menacing despite the fact that he has a pretty goofy looking haircut. That being said, the rest of this week's episode was just mesmerizing. It totally sucked me in the entire time, especially because it doesn't matter how many times this loop is repeated. If someone gets killed by the Killer Queen Bites the Dust ability, they are dead for good, even if the events don't play out the same. What this means is, every single time the loop is reset, at 8:30 in the morning, Rohan Kishibe is going to die in a massive bloody explosion. This revelation is incredibly horrifying, and you can only imagine how much Ayato is actually shitting his pants when he actually learns about this. Not to mention that he himself is a living, ticking time bomb. No matter what happens, whoever he interacts with, as long as it involves revealing who Kira is, where he's located, what his abilities are, and how he can kill people, they will get caught in the explosion. And midway through this episode, in what might be one of the most shocking scenes of the series, nearly every single main character from the show is seemingly killed off. And what's most disturbing about this is that Ayato doesn't even really say anything. They know that he's the kid in the picture, they try to question him and he doesn't say anything, and he tries to run away claiming that he has a bloody nose. He basically just punches himself right in the face, again just showing how incredibly desperate he is, and then he brings it to this entirely new level where he decides if he can kill himself, then that means he might actually be able to save everyone else. And he actually tries to take this box cutter and jam it right into his neck. Unfortunately for Ayato, Bites the Dust does have one more ability. It can actually prevent Ayato from being killed. And this is actually what causes Josuke, Okuyas, Koichi, Jotaro, the whole gang to get killed by Killer Queen, just because they actually witness the tiny little Killer Queen that is preventing this blade from going into Ayato's neck. It's a super disturbing moment because they don't even have an opportunity to talk to him, but just by seeing that stand, they set in motion the events which are going to lead to their deaths. This is a horrifying notion. However, Ayato decides to take advantage of this situation because when these characters are killed, everything goes back in time, he wakes up in his room again, and he realizes that he might actually be able to change some things. And he feels that he's going to have to do one of two things. He's going to have to try and get some help, or he's going to have to kill Kira himself. And his plan is a little ridiculous, but it actually almost works. You see, he decides that he's going to go after that flower cat that's hanging out in their attic and utilize its air bubble abilities so that he can actually trick Kira into looking into his backpack, looking at the cat, and getting a face full of bubble death. Also, is it just me, or has the flower cat been going through a bit of a transformation sequence? It seems to be transforming into something else entirely, and this is probably no coincidence, but the actual face of the flower looks a lot like Killer Queen's, maybe just associating the fact that this cat is allied with Kira himself. The end of this week's episode just left me right at the edge of my seat when it seemed like Ayato might have actually saved the day. He actually manages to get Kira to look into his backpack, he gets attacked by the stray cat Flower, and it seems like it actually punctured right through his heart. Unfortunately, it looks like due to some crazy events which have been changing in this whole loop timeline, that Kira decided to put his watch right in his breast pocket, which means it actually deflected the attack from the stray cat. This just pisses him off even more, and it ends on one hell of a cliffhanger, with Ayato trying to figure out how he's going to be able to take this guy down, and me basically asking the same exact thing. I have no idea how they're going to be able to defeat this guy, especially now that the characters have officially been killed and they are going to explode. There's a very small time frame in order for Ayato to actually get help, but he has to figure out how to do it without giving away what's going on. But that's almost impossible. So what's the rundown on this week's episode of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Diamond is Unbreakable? Just fantastic. I really wish we could spend more time with Kira and his brand new family, who for me personally have been the most amazing element of the last part of Diamond is Unbreakable. I never thought that spending so much time with a villain would be this entertaining, but it is. Just the fact that he's been able to get away with all of this. Not to mention, Kira just is enjoying himself way too much. There's a scene earlier on in the episode when the time loop has been reset and he's getting all smoochy with Ayato's mother, and it almost seems as if he's doing it out of spite in order to get under Ayato's skin, also knowing that Ayato is not going to be able to say a thing. But of course Ayato comes up with a lot of great plans, and you get to see a lot of the events play out differently, like with him answering the phone and ensuring that his mother doesn't break the teapot, even though it eventually does happen. And even though he manages to burn Kira's hand with it, it's actually what results in him putting that watch in his breast pocket, which ends up saving him at the end of this episode. Just so damn tense. Not to mention, it's just so horrifying to know that the characters are going to constantly die if this loop is reset. Basically, according to Kira, everything is like tuned into fate, which of course means if a character is killed by Killer Queen, they're dead. Same time, every day, they're gonna die. Not to mention, what the hell is up with the Pepsi sign? I know in last week's episode, like, it was sort of like a central part because you were waiting for the lightning strike and everything, but has the JoJo series just decided to partner with Pepsi? I don't know, it just comes across as a little too blatant in terms of the product placement. But I'm willing to look the other way, if only for the fact that this episode was just incredibly fun to watch and just oh so tense. Not to mention, yes, we technically saw the deaths of some of the main characters in the series. And when I mean main, I mean like Josuke and Jotaro. The main characters of the series have officially been killed, and it's up to Ayato to find out a way to reverse all of these events. Now, Kira claims that if he gets rid of the bites the dust ability, the loop is going to be gone. They're not going to have to worry about that shit anymore. But there's going to have to be something, I think, that's going to have to make that happen. I don't know how the other characters are going to do that, but I'm really interested to see how all of that's going to go down. I don't read the manga version of JoJo, so I have no idea how this is all going to come to an end. And I just kept asking myself throughout the entire episode, how are they going to get out of this situation? And honestly, it's a great hook. It's going to get a lot of people to want to watch the next episode, and frankly, I cannot wait for it. This was a great episode of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure from beginning to end, from that amazing Kira-themed intro all the way to the end when all of these events keep getting changed, and even the brand new look of Stray Cat, which, like I said, looks a lot like Killer Queen. He's definitely taking a lot of influence from Kira in that sense, and I think it's really crazy the way he was able to pull that off by just stuffing it into his backpack. I'm going to give this week's episode right here a 5 out of 5. Just an absolutely infectious and amazing episode with some great production value from all ends. I love this one, and I wholly recommend it to all JoJo fans. If you did watch this week's episode, make sure to tell me what you thought about it in the comment section below. How is Ayato going to get rid of Kira? How are they going to escape the bites the dust ability? And what do you want to see from the conclusion of Diamond is Unbreakable? Please tell me in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching this review. I really do appreciate it. Make sure to check out this week's episode. I cannot recommend it enough. If you liked this review, please like it, subscribe to the channel, and leave me a comment or two. I will see you next time, and as always, stay dandy, baby.